Hello, my name is Fran. I'm a technical team lead at Grid Squid, the platform that simplifies CRM integrations through a unified API. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to integrate a HubSpot company using our platform. We support many CRMs, but for this demo, as I said, we will choose HubSpot. In this demo, we will show how to connect to the CRM, how to transform data in case that we want to unify or standardize our API or the data that our application receives. When I say our application, I'm also saying your application. And we will test the data that we have in the CRM, including downloading all the records that we have in the CRM in seconds. For simplicity, we will use our UI, but you have to know that we can use the API to do the exact same actions that we are doing here. So first of all, let's create a company. A company represents a set of users or connections that share the same settings. For example, if I want to integrate two of our customers, I will choose two different companies. I will create two different companies so that they have separate access and separate settings. So I'll name it HS Test Demo. I'll select HubSpot, and the login URL and API URL are already pre-filled, so I don't have to worry about that. I'll select a login redirect URL. This is the URL that the users will be redirected to after completing their connection. In my case, I'll use https gridsquid.io, but here you would put your app URL. And in environment, I'll select production because we are using HubSpot production. Let's create it. It's already created. Let's open it. Second, we will create a user. A user represents a connection between the CRM and our platform so that Grid Squid can speak to the CRM. So we will create the new user. I name it test. The name is not important for Grid Squid. This is just for humans to know and distinguish the user. And then what we can do is to authenticate the user. So the user is now created, but the connection is still not active. Then normally this will be a real user so that we don't have their credentials. So we can share this connection URL with the user so that they can initiate the auth 2 authentication. We will not know their password. We will just accept the connection and they will be prompted to their own CRM. So I just copy it. Let's visit the URL and I'm being redirected and I created the connection. As I said before, I'm being redirected to gridsquid.io because this is my app, but this could be your app, your landing page or your login URL, whatever that you normally have as a home page. Let's go back to Grid Squid. So if I refresh, we'll see that the connection is active. Great, we can continue. We already have something to speak to the CRM, so let's test it out. How we can test it? Well, right now with the API we could get some raw records. The UI doesn't support it yet, but we could create a mapping. So imagine that our company or our platform wants to integrate with contacts, but also with companies. So I would start by creating a new mapping that maps to contacts. This is the list of all the available objects in the CRM. And then my platform would expect to have a name that could be called customers, for example. There we go. And from there, we could, if we already saved the template, as it's my case, we could select from a preset integration. So we can already select the contacts mandatory fields that my company expects for HubSpot. So a new mapping has been added, and this means that my company called Badger will receive customers, but in Hashpot it is called contacts. If we open the mapping, we'll see different parts, but the most important one is that we are translating or converting fields. The ones that will be received by my platform are here, and the ones that are in the CRM are there. So, for example, all the object IDs in Hashpot will be received by my company, by my platform with the name customer underscore ID. So this is a preset integration that my company already had and I already saved before. But if you are starting from scratch, you can set up something from a blank integration and then save it as a template. Let's create a new integration, a new mapping. This time, both objects will be called companies because my platform also expects these objects to be called companies. And this time, the mapping method will be manual. So after saving the mapping, we can open it and you'll see an empty mapping configuration. In this case, we will need to fill in all different fields that my platform is expecting. For example, if you remember, the ID fields was called customer underscore ID in my platform because my platform is always expecting IDs to be called customers underscore ID. As we did before, we will map this field to HubSpot object ID. There we go. And here we can see the display name in the CRM. This is the label of this field in the CRM. Let's save it. And there we go. If I wanted to save this as the template integration or a template mapping, I just need to save this as a template, as this button says, and then give it a name, and that will be it. We already saw that we can translate fields into other fields with different names, but there are some other alternatives and some other configurations that we can set up on our mappings. For example, we can use custom JavaScript to set up complex integrations. In this case, we are building a field called original underscore address that is being posted by all the different addresses parts. As you can see, this will concatenate everything and will be joined into a single field that will contain all the parts: address, city, state, zip, and country, separated by commas. Not only that, we can also hardcode fields. This means that if, for example, I want email to always be the same, I could select it and I could type here like Fran at gridsquid.io. This way, every time that my platform is sending this property will be received by the CRM with this value, my email, always. So we could save our integration. By the way, I was mistaken. I need to select the name in the CRM. As you can see, it's a CRM API name. Let's save it. And now there's another powerful tool here that is the tryout method, tryout tool. So tryout, we can select our user, the user that we previously authenticated, and the method now will be get. We will select 5 records from the CRM, and after trying out, we'll see a conversion between the transformed data and the raw data. So as I only have 2 records in my CRM right now, I'm receiving 2 only. This is what the CRM originally had. You can see there are a lot of properties that I'm not interested in, and I only care about these ones. That's why I only selected those ones here in my template or in my integration, my mapping, and then I'm only receiving those. If the field is empty here, if it's null, I'm not receiving it at all, not even an empty string. And this way you can compare the transformation. Not only that, you can also test if you have a specific record ID. For example, you can get by ID, I can get it from here, and you can try it out with that specific record. You can do the same by deleting it, or you could test more advanced options. So we already created two mappings. We have a connected user. We can see the list of all the available users in the CRM. Right now it's only one, but it's okay. And we can configure events. Event configurations are a way of pulling data in the CRM, only the data that changed recently. Let me explain you. So you open the events configuration, set up a new one, and after setting up a mapping, you can select all the mappings that you have here available. For example, customers. So you can select any of them. You can paste a notification URL. This can be a webhook on your server that will be notified every time that Grid Squid detects a change in the CRM. So in this case, I don't have any, so I leave it empty. And you can set up a polling time in minutes. For example, 10. So this means that every 10 minutes, Grid Squid will ask for any changes that happened in the CRM. For example, any new records that were created, any modified records that were updated, or any records that were deleted that belongs to this mapping. And Grid Squid will notify this URL with all the changes so that you are in sync. Your data is up to date. So I can save it, and there we go. We can update it after that, or even disable it. But what about your data? So your system is getting notified every time that is happening something, but you don't have all the data in your system. Imagine that you have a lot of records in your CRM, but you want to have those in your platform. So there's an easy way to get all this data just with one API call with books. So you can select an existing mapping, a connected user, for example, test, and then a notification URL that is optional because this is an asynchronous call, and this notification URL will get notified when the job has finished. As I'm doing this from the UI just for testing, I'll skip it. I won't select any. So this will download all the records in your CRM, and then they will be transformed to customers using the mapping that you set up before. It will download all the records and contacts. I only have two, and will transform applying all the fields that I selected. And it will speak your platform's language. I'll refresh the page and you'll see that it's being completed. Obviously, we have only two records, but if you have, let's say, 1,000,000, it will take just minutes. And you can download the results in a JSON file. So you've already done this for Hashpot, and you can repeat the same process on every single CRM that you need. You don't need to set it up from scratch. You can use templates, and your system will only have to speak Grid Squid's language without having to speak or to learn how to speak other CRMs language. CRMs can be hard, but we are experts, so you don't have to be. Click Get Started on the Grid Squid website to request your API key or take a look at our documentation and API reference. Let us know if you have any questions or schedule a demo. Thanks for watching.